Now, once upon a time, there was a little Christmas tree growing out in the forest. And this little tree was perfectly shaped, but it was only a little taller than your table in the kitchen. And there were lots of other big trees around. Well, one day, when there was some snow on the ground, and it was in December, the little Christmas tree heard a noise in the forest that sounded like this. And then the noise stopped. And he heard a voice saying, "Well, Joe, this looks like a good place to cut down some Christmas trees." And another voice said, "Yeah, Bill, I think it does. Well, let's get the chainsaws out." And in a few minutes, the little Christmas tree heard a sound. And he said to the other big trees around him, "What's going on?" And the big trees said, "Those men are coming to cut down trees for Christmas. It's the coolest thing to be able to be a Christmas tree." Well, all afternoon he heard the sounds of the chainsaws. And then finally they stopped. And he heard one of the men say, "Well, Bill, I don't know if we've got any more room for trees on the truck. Let me just walk around the forest a little bit." And he heard crunch, crunch, crunch through the snow. And then he heard, "Hey, Bill, I found a perfect little Christmas tree. I think there might be room on the truck for this one." And Bill said, "Yeah, Joe, I think we can put it up." And the little Christmas tree saw a man come up with a chainsaw and the man cut him down and carried him in his arm over to the truck and threw him up on top of the truck. And then they wrapped a big rope around all the Christmas trees on the truck, and they got in the truck and started the engine and drove off, bouncing away through the forest. Well, pretty soon they came to a funny black thing stretching away, far away, down out of the mountains. And the little Christmas tree said, "What is this black thing? We're following this black thing." And some of the bigger trees on the truck said, "Well, silly, that is a road. That's what the truck is going down, a road." So the truck went down the road, out of the mountains. And after a while, the little Christmas tree saw big snow-covered rocks with smoke coming out of the top of them. And he looked at them and he said to the other trees, "What are those rocks with smoke coming out of them?" And the big trees said, "Silly, those aren't rocks, those are houses. And people have fires inside to keep the houses warm in the winter." And the little Christmas tree said, "Well, that's the strangest thing I ever saw." Well, after a while, the truck came down to a town, and it turned right off the road and into the town. It wasn't a very big town at all. And they went for a few blocks and pulled in to a vacant lot with a fence all around the lot and with lights hanging on the fence. And it was afternoon. And the man said, "Well, let's unload these trees and stand them up around the edge of the fence. People are going to be coming to buy Christmas trees pretty quick." And so they unloaded the truck and leaned all the trees up against the fence and turned the lights on. And sure enough, people started coming and buying Christmas trees. Well, This went on for a few days until at last it was Christmas Eve. And all the trees were sold except the little one, still standing against the fence. And Joe said, "Well, Bill, I think we better shut down the lights and go home. It's Christmas Eve, and I think we've sold the last Christmas tree." And Bill said, "Well, there's still that one. I guess we won't be able to sell it." And just as they were about to turn off the lights, a little boy who was about 7 years old walked onto the Christmas tree lot. And he didn't have a coat, even though it was very cold. And he had no socks, and he had rips in his blue jeans, and he just had a t-shirt, and he looked pretty cold. And he walked up to the man and he said, "Please, sir, I wonder if you could sell me that little Christmas tree over there. It's the last one on the lot, but it looks just the right size for our house." And Joe and Bill looked at each other and said, "Yes, son, we could sell it to you. It's $10. And the boy said, "Oh, no." He said, "I don't have $10. And he turned around and started to walk off the lot. And Joe called and said, "Wait a minute, son. How much money do you have?" And the boy reached in his blue jeans and he pulled out a few coins and he said, 99 cents. That's all I have. I've been collecting pop cans and selling them back to the grocery store, and all I've got is 99 cents. And Joe and Bill looked at each other and they said, "You know what, son? We think the price now for that little Christmas tree is 99 cents. And the little boy got a big smile on his face and he said, "Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you so much." And he gave him the 99 cents and ran over and put the little Christmas tree on his shoulder and walked out of the lot. And Bill and Joe said, "Well, Merry Christmas, son," as they turned off the Christmas lights around the lot. And the boy said, "Merry Christmas, sirs, and thank you so much." And he walked down several blocks and he came to a little white small house. And he walked up the 2 steps to the front door and started to open the door. And his mom came to the door and she said, "Where did you get that Christmas tree? It's perfect." And he said, "The men at the Christmas tree lot sold it to me." And she said, "We'll run around to the back of the house and make a stand out of 2 pieces of wood and nail it to the bottom of the tree, and we're going to put it up on our table." And so he did, and brought it back to the front of the house and went into the house. Now the house had one room, which was a kitchen and had a little couch and had a dining room table, and then behind the room was 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom between the 2 bedrooms. And that's all there was in the house. And the mom had a little baby on her hip she was holding. And the boy's 5-year-old sister came to the door and helped him. And they carried the tree in and put it up on the dining room table. And it just fit perfectly. And Mom said, "Now, let's go get some construction paper and make some rings and glue them together, and we'll decorate our Christmas tree." So they went and got construction paper and cut out rings and glued them together and hung rings of construction paper with all different kind of colors all over the tree. And then Mom said, "Well, we don't have any decorations, but I've got some popcorn, some old popcorn, and I'll sprinkle it on the tree. And I've got a few small candles, and we'll put those on little bits of cardboard and hang them on the tree. And tomorrow, Christmas Day, we can light them." And so they did. And so there was popcorn on the tree for decoration and a few little candles ready for the next day. Well, Mom said, "I'm sorry, we don't have much for supper. I've just got enough milk in the refrigerator for the baby. And I've got a little bit of soup left over from, oh, here's Dad. And Dad came into the house, and she said, "Did you find any work?" And he said, "No, I didn't find any work." He said, "Where did you get that Christmas tree?" And his son said, "I bought it from the man in the lot. Isn't it a beautiful tree?" And Dad said, "That's the prettiest tree I've ever seen." Well, they just had a little bit of soup for supper, and the baby had a little bit of the last milk, and that was all they had because they were very, very poor. And finally, it came time to go to bed. And Mom and Dad took the baby into their room, and the brother and sister went into their room, and they shut the doors and went to sleep. Well, the little Christmas tree stood up on the dining room table, and he was very, very proud of himself. He said, "I just don't think there's ever been a Christmas tree that's as handsome as I am. I am so handsome with my with my rings of construction paper and popcorn, and I've got some candles that'll be lit tomorrow for Christmas Day." And he was very, very proud, and it was all dark in the house. And the hours went by, and then all of a sudden, in the middle of the night, he heard a bump on the roof of the house. And he said, what is that bump?" And everything was quiet. And then there was a whoosh, and down the fireplace, across from where he was on the dining room table, a man appeared out of the fireplace, dragging a little teeny tiny sack. The man had red pants, black boots, a red coat, a red hat with a white ball, and he had a big white beard. And he said some word, and the sack, which was a little tiny sack, grew until it was a huge big sack. And he said, "Well, now let's see what we can do for this little Christmas tree. You are a very handsome Christmas tree. Let me see what we can do." And he reached in the sack, and he brought out a string of lights, and he went, and the lights flew through the air and wrapped themselves perfectly around the Christmas tree from the tip to the bottom of his branches, from the tip of his head to the bottom of his branches. And the man said, "Well, that looks quite nice." And he snapped his fingers, and the lights all turned on. And then he reached in, and he got a box, and he went, and bulbs and decorations flew through the air and covered the whole Christmas tree. So he had little balls hanging all over him, very shiny ornaments and balls, and they looked very, very handsome. And then the man said, "Now, we need something for your head." And he reached in his sack, and a star, a big star, flew through the air and landed right on the little Christmas tree's top of his head. And the man looked at it and he said, "I think you look very, very handsome. Now, let's see what else we can do." And he kept reaching into his sack and bringing out packages. And he put one after another until the whole dining room table was filled with boxes all wrapped up with ribbons and packages and everything. It was just filled almost full. And then he went to the refrigerator and opened the door, and there was nothing in the refrigerator. And he said, "Well, we need to do something about this. That baby needs something." And all of a sudden, big bottles of milk were inside the refrigerator. And then a turkey, and stuffing, and mashed potatoes, and corn on the cob, and biscuits, and butter, and honey, and pumpkin pies, and whipped cream, until the refrigerator was so full he could hardly shut the door. And then he looked around the room and he said, I think that about does it. And he walked over to the fireplace and he said a word, and the big sack shrunk down to a teeny tiny little sack. And then he put one finger up alongside his nose and he was gone. Up the chimney. He disappeared. And the little Christmas tree heard some bumping on the roof. And then he heard, Merry Christmas. And he was all alone again. But now he had lights all around him, shining in the dark. And he said, Oh, I am handsomer than I've ever been before. Look what that man did. And he was beautiful. And he was so proud all the rest of the night. Well, it started to get light in the morning. And he heard the boy wake up his sister. And the boy was saying, Well, it's Christmas morning, and we don't have any food, and we don't have any presents, but we have a beautiful Christmas tree. Let's go out and take a look. And his sister said, Yeah, let's go take a look. And the door of their bedroom opened. And that is the end of the story. Did you like it? What was your favorite part? Can you use your words or your crayons to color and make your favorite part? That would be a lot of fun, don't you think? We'll see you the next time.